a community of 70?
71, and when I spent time here, 72. Beulah.
Right.
It's a biblical name, means the promised land. Yeah, the cement ones are storage, and historically that's where the grain was kept. And that passageway at the top is a conveyor system that delivers them into the bins. But because of the huge volume, they store them outside under that plastic tarp, which is, it's called a bunker. And the capacity here is about 120,000 tonne. And they're full at the moment. They're actually shipping out for export. So they had a bumper harvest, and it's really been good.
All right, awesome. Good. Okay.
You see in the distance there, that bunker is exposed. They're busy loading out of that.
Got it.
So that gets shipped by train down to the port at Geelong, and then it's exported from there.
Okay.
And then that's a typical grain truck. It's like a curtain on top. It rolls closed, and then they park. They park the truck under this yellow conveyor that comes down, and that'll discharge.
Got it. Yeah.
And this here is a weigh bridge. So the trucks come in, they get weighed, and then when they go out, they get weighed.
Perfect.
And the difference is the load they're taking out. This is Beulah Airways.
Oh, Beulah Air. Of course it is.
A town like this survives on the community spirit.
Right.
And it's just phenomenal. If there's somebody that's sick, the community just rallies around, and
Right.
everybody helps.
Right.
That's a water trough that used to be for draft horses and horse traffic.
Oh, wow.
So they had a watering hole. And this is the main road. This on the left that you're looking at now is the post office and the community centre. It has a doctor's office that's visited twice a week. And there's a post office.
Oh, what a beautiful
That was the post office, and it's now a residence. Somebody lives there. The silo art came about in Beulah, actually just Brim, just 6 miles down the road. Old silos that weren't being used, they painted the walls, and it took off, and it's become very popular, and a lot of people travel to follow the art trail.
Right.
And it's been good for the town because it draws people. This is the old library. This is the store on the left. It's a community store run by the community.
Beautiful.
There used to be a lot of businesses, but they've all closed, or a lot of them closed down. There's only the most essential, like the chemist
Right.
shop. This is an op shop. It means an opportunity shop, and people bring clothes and stuff that they don't need, and they sell it in there, and then the money goes to charity.
Okay. Need to get a good focus on that.
Oh, this is the old butcher shop, which is no longer in use, and they just painted that wall. That's the pub, or hotel as you would call it. There's a typical, that's not the mural art, but that's a typical sheep sale scene. See the yards with the sheep in them, and
Yeah.
sheep market. The difficulty with these small towns is to keep young people
Right.
here,
Right.
because when they graduate from school, they go off to find their fortune somewhere, and unless they family, farms, and they can go onto the family farm, they usually have to go and find it somewhere else.
Right.
and also for young children to keep them interested and occupied in doing something, you need to have some activities. And this is a farming community, and it's very much a rural town. So that's where Squatter comes in and has the horse rides, the trail rides.
Right.
And he's just an open charity. Kids come from all over and come and ride horses.
Right. And you say he's well known all over the place.
He's a legend. Squatter. This is the Yarumbiak Creek. All along this creek there's a lot of towns, but it's a dry creek. It's a seasonal creek, so when it rains a lot it's got water.
Right.
But what the government did is there was a channel system where they run water from the mountains through this dry country, but they lost such a lot of water in the evaporation and cracks in the channel and that, so that they put in about 8 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, they put in a pipeline. And that's close to, I think it's about 7,000 miles of pipeline. So it brings water to all through the area. It runs water, and people tap into it and then utilize the water for stock and domestic purposes. And all these little towns have tapped in, and then they have built these lakes in the creek, and it creates a beautiful recreational opportunity for the people. There's a bit of water skiing if the lake's big enough, at least definitely swimming and canoeing, kayaking, and then they built these little caravan parks just on the side, so a lot of traffic comes through. We call them grain nomads, retired people with a bit of money in a caravan, and they go touring. And they have these cabins. If you wanted to stay in a cabin, you can hire one for the night. The cost here would be like US $10 and to stay here, and you get electricity, and there's a gas barbecue place.
And you have tennis?
Tennis courts, netball, which is very popular. This is for the kids. Oh, and the town, of course, has a netball side and a footy side. Footy is Australian football, which is it's a cross breed between gridiron and soccer. Actually,
it's football without the any protective equipment, right?
Yes. And when I asked the first time I was introduced to it, I asked about the rules, and they said that's the beauty of the game. There is no set of rules. There's a pool on your left, a bit of water, and then you can see the water being again back on the right hand side. You can see the water coming into the lake. That's being let out at the moment. When the level drops, then they lift the level up. There's good fishing in the lake, yeah? Very popular, especially where the water runs in. Is
that because it's more oxygenated, probably?
And there's a lot of disturbance, yeah. So there's activity, and the fish seem to gather around there.
Beautiful.
This is a popular area where if they have a party or any kind of gathering, a birthday or even a wedding celebration, they camp out on the grass here, and there's a bit of a kitchen facility over there. We call it a camp kitchen.
That's beautiful.
And then this is the real thing. This is the footy field.
The footy field. Well, you could gallop a horse around there.
Oh, yep.
They might not like that.
And people will go without water as long as there's water to irrigate the footy field. And then in the background again, you see the silos. Mm-hmm. That's the lifeline of the town.
Right. That's beautiful.
The tennis courts. Oh, this is a netball field.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we call it netball. It's similar, but it's netball. It's a different set of rules.
Oh, really?
And only girls play it.
Really?
Yeah. Last of the sexist sports.
Oh, I see. Netball is for girls, as is barrel racing.
Yes.
It's just this gorgeous little gem of a place, though, isn't it?
It's really a nice place, and the community is so knit together. I arrived last night. I don't live here. I live about 300 miles away. And when I got here last night, I got a few messages on my phone. But I believe you're in town. We've got to catch up. Just people that I've got to know over the years.
Now, is this like within commuting distance of a town that a person could work
Yes.
in?
All these towns were built around the silos, and historically, people would bring the wheat off the pasture when they harvested.
Right.
They would bring it to a central point where it could be shipped out. So all these towns are within sort of literally a day's ride with a wagon apart. So they're all about 12 miles or so apart. Okay. And they get bigger or they get smaller. These ones have got smaller, but there's a very reasonable sized town probably about 24 miles from here, and then 60 miles from here there's a city, a big city. Okay. So that's where most people, there's a big hospital and all the amenities that you would expect in a big city. That's the fire station. Yeah. The CFA, that's Country Fire Authority, and that's manned by volunteers. So if there is a fire, people get called up and there's a truck in there, a fire truck, and they go and fight the fire.
Cool. Do you have a lot of brush fires out here in the recent fires? Or no?
Yeah, and especially after the harvest, the stubble is prone to fire. When the headers harvest, sometimes they blow a wheel bearing or something, and that sets the place on fire. Rainbow is the next town. Now that's 42 kilometers, which is 24 mile from here. Yeah. And it's all, the roads run north-south or east-west, very straight. Yeah. And they're
kind of gridded around the field.
Gridded, very much so. And these trees, that's a typical mallee tree, incredibly hard wood, and makes very good firewood. There's the sign for our host.
There he is.
Now, these ponds, that was the town water reservoirs before. And of course, a lot of water evaporated because of the dry soil here. And with this upgrade of the pipeline, they put in these big steel tanks. So all the water is stored in that, and that supplies the town. Got it. And they've cut back, the water waste is virtually nothing. Right. So it's been a really good outcome for everybody, because the people got the water and they didn't have such big losses. So it saved a lot of water and delivered good clean water to the houses.
Right. So those are mallee trees also?
Yes, they're all mallee. It's about the only thing grows here. The mallee and black box, which are very hardy trees. So this is just a free camping area. So anybody passing through with a caravan, they're welcome to come and stop here. If they don't want to pay the $10 to camp on the other side with the power and the showers and all the other luxuries. And this track we're on now, it goes right around the lake. That was put in by one of the people in town that own a gravel pit. And they just donated their time and product and put the track in for the benefit of the community. See, if you look to the right, that's a typical wheat pasture. That's probably 4,000 acres in there. And it just goes over the hill there. We see the tree line. It just goes beyond that even. Yeah. And of course, it's now been harvested, so you've got stubble, and they'll shortly be re-sowing that. They have a system here called no-till. So they just run a seeder over that and deposit the seed in that stubble. And that material decomposes after a while and actually acts as a fertilizer.
Here we are, 81 Luna Park Road. We have arrived. All right, this was wonderful, Leon. Thank you. And himself will be so happy.
So this paddock, they killed 11 sheep, put all the guts and that in the front end loader bucket. They drove out here and they put in 4 piles. Then they come along and sat here.
Yeah.
And the foxes come in, they've got 28 foxes.
Turn on the lights.
Yeah, there's the eyes. With those guns with the red line.
Oh,
You can shoot them from the Rocky Mountains to bloody Mexico. You know,
laser.
laser thing, yeah. She doesn't have to make it hard on herself, because every now and then she ducks in.
Yeah.
There's a bit